This is going to be episode 28 of Brick Shots with Billy. I know me and Tonio have not put out pretty much a lot of content. We're doing a lot of the TikTok thing. We're trying to throw the reels out there just to get some more exposure. But we haven't done a show. He's on the road right now. Michael Moore's having some surgery, so our thoughts and prayers are with him, man. But it just wouldn't be justice, man. We just got to do something out here, right? So this is episode 28, and I know somebody told me last week, they were like, hey man, last episode you said it was whatever it was, and well, because we've recorded so many, but again, like I've said 100 times, it's this editing stuff that just really is not my forte, that I'm just trying to get into. It's just not happening for us per se, you know what I mean? So again, if y'all know anybody who wants to do some editing or, you know, wants to help out with the show, let me know. But I'm gonna put this one out. I'm gonna edit it as much as I can, but also not too much to where it's just shitty. Appreciate all the feedback on TikTok too. We're getting a lot of love there though, so thank y'all. But the first thing we're gonna get into on the show is gonna be the NBA Finals. So me and Tonio predicted Golden State in 5. It was Golden State in 6, so we weren't the furthest thing from being off. Really think game 1 was kind of like the Celtics were super stoked to be there. They had played, they had fought hard. Even in the sweep, that was a hard sweep. That was probably the hardest sweep I've ever seen. Then you got to go against the defending champions, right? And then the tough Miami Heat. So that's 4, 6, and then 7 games to go play the Golden State Warriors, who we know are still an amazing basketball team, and they'll probably be an amazing basketball team for a while now. But yeah, man, Steph's legacy for some, he needed the Finals MVP. I'll even say for me, I kind of just put my toes in the water and just kind of get some feels on it. Like, I don't think he needed it necessarily because we all believe, like, was Iggy supposed to get that Finals MVP? Like, really, you know? But because you kind of stopped LeBron James, who had Matthew Dellavedova as his number 2, like, we got to stop with all that. But Steph has definitely cemented himself into being one of the best of all time. Probably top 10 in a lot of people. I've seen him on like 12 and to 15, but just still like, that's great. The NBA has been around for 75 years. If you're in the top 12 of everyone who's ever played, I mean, it's not like it's a bad gig for you or anything. But let's get into the Steph KD legacy thing. I think KD is obviously one of the best scorers we've ever seen. I still don't think we need to put him in the top, like in the top 10, top 15, really, maybe top 20, but maybe I'm just a fucking cynic or something. But KD needed Steph Curry to get those 2 titles. And I mean, not saying that he wouldn't have got them elsewhere, or like if he would have stuck around with OKC, because they had the best Warriors, or the best regular season team we've ever seen. They had them on the ropes. They were up 3-1-2. But the Warriors happened to come back for that series. And I mean, it's crazy that Steph had a ring before KD got there, got another one since he's been gone. And I mean, obviously Steph has developed into this unworldly player, the best shooter of all time. I always think back to that moment when Mark Jackson was like, I have the best court of all time. And we're all like, okay, you fucking weirdo. But then to see what Clay has developed into, and if none of those injuries happen to Clay, I wonder how great the Warriors would be, or if Clay would have been able to go get the bag somewhere else. But back to KD's legacy, I wrote down in the notes, this era's Isaiah Thomas, and I'm thinking no, because Isaiah was the leader of the Pistons team. Like he was like embodied the bad boy era. I mean, he did have Rodman and stuff like that, and I use Rodman for my Jordan argument. So if you want to say, not really, but because now I'm kind of on the side now that I'm talking to y'all about it. But does KD need another title? So how we were doing it with Steph's legacy, does Steph need a Finals MVP to become one of the greats? Does KD need another one? Because if, let's say he gets another one, and let's say he gets one in Brooklyn, all things aside, he won one with Kyrie Irving, and I don't think you can be someone who is a LeBron James, fan, or you have LeBron in the higher than Jordan GOAT category, without saying, well, KD won one and he had Kyrie too. Because in LeBron's, when they won the finals, Kyrie averaged 28 points a game. So, I mean, there is still that to think about. But I do believe he needs another one. I don't care if he goes somewhere else. Maybe, like if he went to a Boston, like if Boston was able to get, so if KD ended up in Boston and won one with them, I think that would be like, oh, okay, all right, KD, I see what you're doing. I think he needs to go to a good cultured team, a team that has had some success, whether it be in the past or even like recent random playoff success. Because if you look at what CP3 did for the Suns, they were kind of bottom dwellers, and CP3 literally got there and fucking took them to the finals. And then look at OKC, they literally traded for his like really expensive contract just to tank, and then they ended up in the playoffs too. And then they're like, well, what the fuck are we supposed to do with this? And I think there's a lot to be said about, you talk about certain guys' legacies, you can talk about Street Clothes' legacy. Like, since they won the title, what has he really done? And then without LeBron in New Orleans, they won a playoff series one time. I mean, that's all you can give me. Giannis is out here. I feel like Giannis has probably the best legacy on top of two MVP seasons. He has a finals and a finals MVP, just like that, with a Chris Middleton as his second guy. Because I think now in the NBA you need two guys. There's nobody doing it by themselves. You can't even really think to a finals where someone was doing it by themselves. You look at the 04 Pistons. That was probably the ultimate of team basketball if we've ever seen one, other than the Spurs. Now that I'm saying it, it's just kind of crazy how it's coming out. But looking at those type of victories and those finals winners, like what if KD goes to the Spurs? Kind of gets into Pop's culture or something. Maybe it wouldn't work because Kawhi also kind of bounced out of there. I do think like I think it would be amazing to see him in Boston. I think that would be the craziest place to see him end up, because I think as soon as he gets to Boston, they're already a favorite. And I think even Brooklyn is like a top 10 favorite this year, for the next finals. And it's just really interesting to see the way we just like talk about these players. And I feel like, even me doing it just now, I feel like you have to bash someone just to explain other people's greatness. Like with the Jordan LeBron, you have to bash LeBron just to talk about how much better Michael Jordan was. And then the same happens in turn whenever if you're talking about LeBron being better than Jordan, you have to slight Jordan for all of his accomplishments. Well, he had this, who did he guard? Blah, say, blah. LeBron, oh, well, he needed a super team. He couldn't do it in Cleveland. Yase, yase, yase. And then you look at Steph, where he's been on the same team. Everyone loves this like same team loyalty thing, which is it's really hard because you're going to these dysfunctional organizations. You know what I mean? Like the Warriors have never really necessarily been a quote unquote dysfunctional organization. They beat the number 1 seeded Dallas Mavericks that was a long time ago now. That was like the We Believe season. That's almost 15 years ago, or just longer. Damn. I'm trying to think. See, now I don't even know. But you're looking at LeBron going to Cleveland, and now you could say, oh, well, they were great, blah, 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 got a new owner, because they lost to Jordan in a couple Eastern Conference Finals. But then you look at the history of the organization and a little bit of the newer slides, where what were they doing before LeBron? They even got Kyrie, and they were still in the bottom half of the league. So it's like, yeah, you can be this or you can be that, and catch some of these breaks. Like if Steph didn't go to Golden State, like let's say he went to Portland and then he did kind of the Dame route, like Dame's legacy could have been way different had he gone to a Mark Jackson Warriors team, right? And then taken over by Steve Kerr and done all that. And now we can switch some kind of legacy conversations to now Steph is just this really great shooter. Because like look at Kyle Korver. He was just on a bunch of teams, one of the best shooters we've ever seen. I believe he's top 6 3-point shooting percentage of all time. I mean, and it's crazy because we're not gonna throw him in for best shooters of all time. Like that's not who comes to who comes to the Dome whenever you're thinking about it. I just feel like there's not enough love in the world for how great a lot of these NBA players have been, and then the new ones that will become. We'll get into the draft a little bit after this, but I did want to just talk legacy. Let me know what you guys think. Why, if KD's, because if we're looking at it, let's say, would you say that KD is a better basketball player than Steph Curry? I think you'd have to say yeah, right? Or are you saying yes because he's a 7-footer and he can also shoot from pretty much anywhere except where Curry's shooting, 50 feet away from the basket? So let me know in the comments below who's the better basketball player. Just basketball player, not any of the quote unquote legacy, where the rings are, yada yada yada, but just who would you rather have playing at the YMCA with you? But let's get into this Deshaun Watson stuff. So there's been 2 episodes that I've recorded, and all new information has came out for every episode that I wanted to talk about Deshaun Watson with, right? So, holy shit. The things this guy is accused of is so bad. And then, on top of it being that bad, excuse me real fast, So on top of it being so bad, he first came out and he first said, hey, I'm absolutely innocent. There's no way. My mom raised me to not do stuff like this. All this other stuff, said everything the right way. I thought it was fine. The thing that always stuck out to me from the jump of this is he said, I will not sign an NDA because I want my name absolutely cleared. So when someone comes out in that type of way, I feel like, maybe it's just me, but I feel like conviction to me means something. And I feel like if you act guilty, you are guilty kind of thing. And that's probably wrong too. But I do feel like the court of public opinion before this New York Times article came out, I feel like everyone was already like, oh, he's guilty. They're all the numbers, blah, blah, blah. And I do think it's easy to get wrapped up in, oh, all these numbers, because I think it would be easier to say, you know, like, oh, hey, I just massaged Deshaun Watson one time. So, bam, I'm going to throw my name on this. And I'm not saying that's what happened. Again, I just want to throw that out there. That is not what I'm saying is happening. But as you're watching, for the cats that are saying, like, you know, that's kind of crazy or whatever, or that Deshaun's still innocent, looking at a lot of these former players' interviews, they're sitting here like, he had how many masseuses? Like, I wouldn't have left the facility to get a massage. And even if I did, it was really weird, or I wouldn't have had so many, because you got to trust, you know, I make X amount of money. I need to have only the best of the best touch this and feel me out and make sure everything's good to go with me. So that kind of raised some red flags into my own argument after the New York Times article, because they posted some conversations with him, and in a couple of them he was like, I want to support black businesses. That's why I don't care that you don't have experience or whatever. And it sounded so weird. And I was on the gumption of like, well, where are the texts about like, hey, Deshaun, that was weird, or hey, I feel uncomfortable, or something along those lines. And maybe I'm just looking for this concrete proof just to say that this guy is innocent, because it's so bad. I like to think most of us, at least 99% of the population, are not this horrible of a human being to where you're gonna take advantage of you know, poor people or women just to be like, I'm better than you and I'm richer than you and no one's gonna believe you type shit, right? So like, maybe that's just super ignorant on my part, but that's just kind of where I was going with it. And now that he did sign the NDAs for at least 20 of the cases, now I don't know if that means, again, I'm no lawyer, I've never even studied law, I've barely picked up books, okay? So I don't know if he settled with the 20 and he felt like he couldn't clear his name of those, and maybe now he feels like he can clear his name of the other 4 or something like that, because maybe that'll make him look better, or look, you know what I mean? And if we're being honest, it's crazy that that's like, because I want to know if they can give any type of information about the NDA, like how much did he pay? Because we're looking at Ben Roethlisberger, who I feel like as soon as these accusations and stuff came out, he was like, oh, NDA, nope, not dealing with any of that. Same thing, Richie Incognito situation. I felt like that even was, it was just elongated in this big, huge fucking uproar of like the bullying thing and all this other stuff. And it's like, some of these dudes who did the NDA shit was just done, over with, or whatever. And then you can even look back at Zeke Elliott's suspension from, I don't even remember which year it was. It might have been like 2 years ago. But he had those accusations and he ended up being innocent of them. He got proved innocent. Like none of that shit happened. And, or at least, at the very least, I think the charges were dropped. But he still got a 6-game suspension for it or whatever. And you're looking at the Deshaun situation where you're like, dude, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And I think it's going to be like, even if he gets suspended, like, are people gonna be cool with this guy? Like, I don't, like, if you're really good at football, and I've been the biggest proponent of, like, hey, if you're good at football, it doesn't really matter what you've done, because it kind of, it doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, the NFL, it's like, it's just straight business. It's kind of like, if you're a really good lawyer, you can do some things to get disbarred, or you can just be this really shitty human being, and you're not disbarred, but you're a good lawyer, someone's gonna fucking pick you up. It doesn't, you know what I mean? And I think we live in this life of, or this world of, oh, this guy's a shitty human being, he shouldn't be allowed to do this or that or this or that. But it's kind of like the supply and demand thing. If you're really good, and especially if you're a quarterback who's really good, like, why would we not do anything? Look at the Mike Vick thing. Went, served his time, still got crushed. Even when he went to Pittsburgh, people were like, we don't want this piece of shit on our team, da-da-da-da. And it's like, literally the guy he's backing up is pretty shitty too. I mean, but because of the NDA, there's, hey, no harm, no foul. And I'm not saying that's what it is, but that's I think that's how we look at it. And I think if Deshaun gets all this stuff, quote unquote, taken care of, again, I'm using another quote because I don't want to be this guy that's pro insert bad thing here, because I'm not. I just think it's we got to look at the whole thing of it all, the legalities and all this other stuff. And it just, I bet the NFL is super pissed. And the Browns, and it's crazy because, so we're going to talk about free agency and stuff like that, and all the quarterback drama, Jimmy G, Baker, all that stuff in the next episode. But if you're the Browns, like, look at what you guys were doing. You know, you took Baker, you got Denzel Ward, you got Myles Garrett. You're doing these great things. So now people aren't acting like you're just this absolute laughingstock of the league. And then all of a sudden, you know, you said you did your research and everything's fine from the Deshaun side, and you give him all this guaranteed money. You make the Kirk Cousins contract that we all laughed at look like a big fucking huge joke. And now again, you're this tire fire dumpster organization again. And it was a 2-year stretch where we were like, okay, the Browns. Last year we were getting Super Bowl hype because they were so good. They beat Pittsburgh in the playoffs, and Baker's, you know, going to take that next step and all this other stuff. And now you're literally right back to a dumpster fire. It's crazy. I don't know if there's a curse for Cleveland, if y'all are never going to have y'all's LeBron James again. Shout out to Mike Robb. But what are we going to do about this? It's crazy. Let me know in the comments below what y'all think we need to do. If he should be suspended forever and just dropped. So, anyway, moving on. We'll go back to the NBA draft. I think what's crazy to me about the NBA draft, I don't know if they haven't done as good a job as the NFL with the product, because we don't look at college basketball the same we do as college football. And I think the draft doesn't get enough play, because I love the NBA draft. I love any draft, honestly, even baseball drafts. It's so much fun because, you know, these kids are realizing their dreams are coming true. It's just really, like, nice, and everybody cries. I'll cry at least for the first couple picks, and then I'll sprinkle it in with, you know, if their mom or their dad's there and they're just talking on the phone crying. I just love it all. But the Magic, they're picking in the top again because they're just awful. They take Paolo Prigioni from Duke, really great player. Like, I know a lot of people had him in the top 3 picks for sure. I know Houston was getting a lot of love for him. Even OKC, they were looking at, like, hey, you know, big wing guy, can hit a couple threes. Not as clutch, I think, as we wanted. He had a couple of those bad games against North Carolina, and I think if you're from Duke, I don't think you can afford to have a bad game against Carolina. But they took him number 1, and I think the story was that the Magic didn't even talk to him. Like, they didn't even, you know, bring him in and do workouts or interviews or anything. But they took him. So, I mean, good for this guy. I mean, number 1 pick. I think in the NBA, I don't know I don't think number 1 pick has as much stigma as it does for other leagues. Like, oh, this guy needs to be really good now, because I think the one and done, going full circle back to the college thing, I think the one and done is really messing up the NBA, because it takes these guys a second. Like, you can look at Devin Booker, you can look at a John Wall, where they weren't like, they didn't show up and it was like, oh fuck this guy, okay. No, it takes some time, because the NBA is so much faster, it's so much better, it's a lot more stuff you got to deal with. I think you can't just be like, oh, I'm the best player on the court and I'm going to do whatever I want to do, because even, you know, guys that are backups that have been playing for 4 or 5 years, that have had the diet, the nutrition, all the training camps, the off seasons of the NBA, and you just get here. I don't think players are as ready anymore. And I think it takes a second. Look at Giannis. It took him a hot minute to really become Giannis. He had to gain all that weight. He had to do all that stuff. But I think Pablo is probably literally the most ready. I think you plug him into whatever system the Magic are using, and I think he plays well. But obviously, he's not going to take over anything. But again, I'm cool with the pick. I'm okay with it. But again, why would you not interview this guy? I don't understand. And then Chet Holmgren goes to the Oklahoma City Thunder, and I like the pick. Kind of. He's really small. I don't think shot blocking ability is going to really be there in this NBA. I just feel like I just feel like even your smaller point guards, like if Steph comes at him, I think Steph could probably just kind of back him down a little bit just because he's strong. He's been there a couple times, and after you're getting beat up a little bit, I feel like he might be a little more tender to kind of want to go at somebody. But again, his perimeter defense, he's super quick, so he's getting to the 3-point line wherever he needs to go. So I do like the pick. I think he's really raw, and I think Oklahoma City, especially all these picks that they have, I'm going to get into more of their picks in a second, but all these picks they have, they could afford to go for Chet at that moment, because I think Houston would have took him up as soon as they would have got him right there. But the Rockets end up going with Jaden Ivey, who I really like. I think that's a great pick. Pair him with Jalen Green. I think it's going to be super, super sweet. I like what Houston's doing, but I really do like what Oklahoma City's doing a little more. The Blazers got Shaden Sharp. So I've said on numerous platforms, everywhere I've argued any type of draft basketball, I think he's going to be the best player of this draft. I think, well, he didn't play at Kentucky, Billy. He didn't do this. He didn't. Well, Kyrie played, I think, 3 games at Duke or a game at Duke, and he's doing just fine. I think going back to the one and dones, if you have it, you do have it. Like, he can get to the NBA and score 16, 17 points a game, and then I think that's totally fine for a rookie. But I've been on record, and I'll be on record again. I haven't been on the show to say it, but definitely I think he's going to be the best player of this draft. Going back to Oklahoma City, because they get 2 Jalen Williams. Jalen Williams is really got to start college. But yeah, I love what they are doing. I think they took their chance with Chet Holmgren. I think they're getting these pieces together to be smart, fast, quick basketball. I like some of the shooting that they're grabbing. I think maybe next draft, or even maybe this free agency, kind of looking around, seeing if they can piece together some of these picks for next year to maybe grab someone a little more tougher, maybe like a veteran who's just maybe like a Clint Capella, someone who's just he's going to be there and be a dog for you and do what he needs to do, really bring some good culture around your team. Because you can look at Memphis, who really gravitates towards Ja Morant, and they play well on every other aspect of the game. So I mean, I think that's what Oklahoma's looking to kind of build a Memphis style. In the West, dude, is going to be, I know they're sitting here at the bottom of the draft a lot, but the West I think it's going to come right back up, and everything's going to go through the West again still. I mean, and you got Phoenix, and that's what we're looking at. And again, I'm going to do it again. I think this is something we got to keep doing. Let me know in the comments below who sold the draft, what team you guys think is going to kind of show us they're better than what we're thinking, or even worse than what we're thinking. Because I know Detroit, I really like what Detroit's doing as well. Grabbing that kid from Purdue. But yeah, man, I like the way the NBA's going this year. I think some of the younger talent we'll see. And again, like I said, let me know how wrong I am. But let's get to some trades. So Kyrie and Kyrie's been looking at getting traded. He wants a long-term thing in Brooklyn, and we don't know if they're gonna want to trade him, or if they're gonna be like, no, man, you got one more year. He hasn't played in games. He didn't get the vaccine, but he's still he's hung true to that the whole time. So he said, I'm not getting the vaccine. He hasn't got it. So you can't be surprised. People call him selfish. You can call him selfish if you want, kind of. I think, hey, man, if he didn't want to get the vaccine, doesn't have to get the vaccine. If it's that big of a problem in your locker room, I think you got to move him. But if you guys are trying to keep him around, at least for another year, it can't be that distracting if you really think that this is the time that you're going to, your window for the title. You got Steve Nash, this is going to be his second year coaching. So we'll see if that's something that he is going to be able to kind of gravitate towards, kind of like how Luka really latched on to Jason Kidd, really listened to him and what he had to say. And then we saw the Mavs in the Western Conference Finals. Is Kyrie, not going to say he's too close-minded for that, but is he going to be willing to take some of that coaching and maybe take some of that, like, hey, man, you're kind of fucking it up for us. So if you could do some of these things, that'd be really great. And then you're looking at the Russ thing. I think Russ signed his tender today. So he's staying in LA, and I don't think there's the Lakers. I can't move him, and they're not going to be able to do much else. And it's kind of this is not good for LeBron and his legacy. If you're a LeBron homer, I mean, this is, man, it's going to be rough for some of the Laker fans out here, including myself, because I've just been talking mad shit, and I'm just going to keep looking dumb. And I mean, what are we supposed to do with that? Damian Lillard posted a picture of KD in a Portland uniform. I don't think that's how it's gonna go. Dame, as much as I love Dame, I think he needs to get the fuck out of there. They need to do. I know they just had a trade with Houston, and I think even Houston was like, yeah, Dame, we'll give you some help because we want you to win a ring too. I think it's Portland that's kind of against him getting one. But like I said, we'll see, man. We'll see. We talked some legacy stuff, some NBA drafts. Love it, love it, love it. Let me know if y'all think. Let me know the best trade for these superstars. I'm not going to get into the little trades from. I know Atlanta and Houston had one, and not Atlanta and Houston. Atlanta and San Antonio had one. I feel like they're just kind of doing some of these guys a solid, trying to get Pops on his way out. I'm still shocked Becky Hammon's not there to take over for him. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. The show is really hard to do without someone to talk to. It's just kind of me blabbering off of my dumb opinions, and I have nobody to kind of ring me back in. So, Tonio, we miss you, man. Again, thoughts and prayers are with you, Michael Moore, and everybody in the Moore family. But this has been episode 28, man. I really appreciate any type of feedback, man. It's all cool. If you think that you're going to be a dick to me, you're not. I promise everything's fine. Let me know some things I need to work on. Probably my speech needs to slow down. But like I said, I'm here. I want to learn. I'm trying to do this show where I'm pushing it out. And this episode is a little more raw, so I didn't have as much stuff as I wanted. We've been at the new house for a pretty long time, but moving in, I got a new job starting, so we're doing all that. But let me know all you guys' feedback. All right, man. This has been episode 29 of Berkshots. Really appreciate your time.